For the brothers listening, right? Can you speak about the difficulties and overcoming the difficulties of raising black boys in the 21st century America?
Yeah, look, um, some of this, I'm gonna use a word that people don't like. Some of this is luck. A lot of this doesn't have to do with how much time you spend or how much you pour into them. Some things are just luck. I mean, you have to be fortunate to have children that are relatively healthy. You have to have children who are, for whatever reason, really honor who you are as a parent, as a father. You have to learn from the mistakes that your father made or grandparents made or the moms that you had. You have to be very self-forgiving because you make a lot of mistakes with parenting, especially young black boys. You have to be willing to also to ask for forgiveness when you've done things that are wrong. But at the end of the day, I think there are certain things that you need to do that can't be avoided. Number one, you have to be present. You can't, and when I mean present, I don't mean you need to be around them 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. But when you're there, you need to be there.
Quality time.
You need to be there. And by quality, again, I don't mean duration. I mean, if I'm here
Presence,
5 minutes,
yeah.
I'm 5 minutes, you're going to know I'm here for 5 minutes. And I'm not talking about face-to-face interaction, but they know your presence. They know your voice. They know when you're playing. They know when you're serious. They know that you care. And going back to something that we talked about earlier, and this is something that I think my children have the advantage of, thankfully, and I worked very hard on this, that you can be trusted. That if you're going to do something, you're going to do it. I think that's very good. Now, again, luck plays a role because I think the quality of your marriage has a big role to play in it. If you are married, I think also your own sense of self-worth has an effect on your children's sense of self-worth. If you're insecure, if you feel like you haven't accomplished anything, if your own life is very unstable, you will pass that on to your children in a lot of ways. How you model your life on a daily basis, again, is something that your children emulate, because I think there's something that I noticed in my first son that he still does to this day. I think I want to get your thoughts on this maybe when the interview is over. That I'm talking young, like a month old, very long. The stare that they sit and watch everything that you do. Your gestures, your tone, they look at you nonstop, and it's not going to stop, right? And they're taking all this in, and they're kind of patterning their own behaviors, their own way that they interact with the world, how you talk to other people, right? Now, I'm not talking about your spouse now, but why you go to the store, how do you talk to the person who's working at the register? Or they see you in a difficult situation, right? Are you going to snap and get loud? I mean, how do you handle that? Sometimes you need to. All right. When do you assert yourself? When do you step back and say, I can let this thing go? All these things that they're watching, all these things they're modeling after. And also something that you mentioned earlier, I think that's very important. How to complete a task, how to work hard. There's a time for that where I have to sit down, get something done. There's a time where I can be enjoy some leisure and be laid back. All these things I think are very important. But again, that's the presence that I'm talking about. I think that is something that a lot of young black men are fortunate enough to have. And again, I could sit here and think like I worked hard at it and all. Luck played a great role in a lot of these things too. But the benefits of it.
You think luck is the word? I don't know if luck.
I don't
is the
know better
proper
because
word,
I don't want
bro.
to say because I've been blessed or because I just worked hard. There's a lot of people that work hard and they still hit against that wall all the time and don't know how to overcome it.
But it's like, I don't know. It's like how you quantify, I guess, success or things working out. That's the thing. Is just like,
Okay, so can I just clarify some terms? Okay, I don't want to mix success with trying to be excellent or doing something well, because I mean there are a lot of people we know that make a lot of money successful, but they're they're incompetent in a lot of ways. But I'm just thinking about being proficient, doing something well, completing a task, having a reputation for doing something well, because again, you can try to build yourself as much as you can up in your own home, but if your name is not thought of well outside the home, that's a problem too. Resilience, I think, is another big word if you're talking about completing a task, because again, there's some people who hit so many walls when they're trying to do something. It's like, how many times can I keep trying? This thing is not going to work. So, I mean, resilience is a very big part of it. But again, that's something that has to be modeled too as well. Because, I mean, resilience isn't something that's just inborn. I think some people have to see it modeled. So I think that's very important too. But again, it's time too. Time as well.
Resilience is a natural thing for some people, bro.
Resilience?
Yeah, bro. I think it is. It helps because
how much resilience? I mean, all of us have resilience, but how much?
How much resilience? Because with the model aspect, like you have a lot of people who have a great model of resilience, but they're not resilient, and you have some who never see any resilience and they're resilient.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have those who actually see resilience and for whatever reason they model it. But I think the resilience thing, I was reasoning with a brethren and we were talking about if resilience can be taught, and I don't think it sound away still, but I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Okay, so it's resilience towards what end?
How much resilience?
How much resilience towards what end? There are certain things, you can have the most resilient person in the world, but there are certain things they're not going to exert their effort towards.
They don't care about
you got other people who don't seem laid back, don't work hard for nothing, but there's certain things that they will fight to the bitter end for. So that goes back to the passion thing. Like, what kind of passion elicits that kind of resilience to where somebody will endure to the very end to see this thing through? And that's what most people don't know, what they're supposed to be resilient for. So you can have the model, right? You're an athlete. Oh, I saw this guy training 8 hours a day and he never took a day off. That's great, but that's not your passion, so you won't be resilient about that. So it's finding what is your thing, your gift, your calling, whatever the case may be, to where, to the bitter end, to the death, to beyond death, I'm going to fight to get this task done.
I think that ties into the purpose.
No, it is. I mean, it's one's purpose. And that's hard to discern what that is. Because just because you're successful at something or making money at something doesn't really mean that's your purpose either.
Facts.
Or you're being recognized for it.
And I think a lot of men have they have resilience, but in the wrong things.
Yeah, of course. For a lot of bad things that we know.
That's the why we need to tweak. The brothers need to tweak their resilience and how much energy they're putting in.
But again, it comes to recognition, though, because something we deem as being positive, that, boy, you should really put your efforts towards this, and you're really good at that. Because they're not getting the recognition they want.
So it's not reinforcement.
So it's not worth my effort. But again, it's not the recognition I want from the people I want.
So it seems like we have to change our toxic culture, and that would help improve certain behaviors.
It would, but that is, again, these are the hardest things to do. How do you change a culture? What do things mean to people? What do things symbolize for people? And that's really the hardest thing, which people do. It happens, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of trust, back to what we talked about earlier.